Oh, hello there. Probably wondering what I'm doing. Actually, I'm getting ready to take a couple measurements so I can tear this fairway apart. Welcome back to another Ironwood Greenskeeping edition here on YouTube. No, just kidding. I'm not going to tear this fairway up. What I'm actually doing here is we're planning on adding a new sprinkler here on 18 lakes. This is the whole last winter. I end up taking a whole bunch of trees down on the right-hand side to help some turf health. However, we ran into some other problems. Back in June, July, the left-hand side of the fairway just got eaten alive, as in it just got burned up. On this hole, we have single row irrigation. What that means is basically there is the sprinklers just run down the center of this fairway. So, which makes sense. This is a very narrow hole. Can't really add too many more sprinklers in here. However, again, the left-hand side just didn't quite make it. What I ended up doing during that time was came out here and was wondering what was going on. I didn't know if it was just getting cooked out or if it was some other maybe a pest or something. But anyway, I came out here and took a cup cutter and pulled a plug out just to kind of see what was going on down the soil. And about 2 inches down, it was rock hard, straight solid clay. It was drier than a bone, which explains to me that it's just not getting the moisture it needs. So what I'm going to do is I'm basically going to measure out. I dug a hole here to find out, one, what size pipe I was working with so we can tie into it. And I'm just going to measure out a spot. I don't know if you can see it, but there's an orange flag down there. That's the proposed spot for it. Another thing too, with all these trees along here, I mean, just digging these sod pieces out just to start digging, there were roots everywhere. And that just shows how far tree roots like to reach out. And I've said it many times before. I've said it throughout another YouTube video. Tree roots are so much bigger than grass roots. They're going to win the battle every time. They're going to take nutrients and moisture, everything like that. So the grass is already behind on that point. So what I'm going to do is hopefully add another sprinkler, give it the moisture it needs. But anyway, let's get started here. I'll zero this out. Just walk in a straight line. And again, when I add irrigation, I like to keep it straight lines. I don't like curves and bends because that can cause some issues in the future. And we got 39.5 feet. That's also going to tell me what kind of nozzles to put in the sprinkler too, because I'm going to put in one of the big sprinklers, big fairway sprinkler. However, those throw 90 feet. So I need a third of that for this. Otherwise, I'm going to be watering the cart path over there. But I just want to make sure sprinklers are paired. I always say they're like shaking hands. They work when this, well, not here, I'm in the middle of one, but that sprinkler up over there and the other one over there, when those are on, those reach one another. And that's correct spacing. Problem is, once it goes out over towards the pond, the majority of the throw is going into the pond. And that's why that area back here struggles. It's because all that water just gets thrown into more water, and it's just not getting adequate irrigation. And what I did last year to help alleviate some of this is I took the Ford tractor and I hooked up the slicer attachment to it, and I just ran up and down here to just get some grooves cut to be able to get some moisture down into the ground, cut through that clay barrier. Even riding on that thing almost had me popping out of my seat. It was just so dry. But yeah, so I got my measurement I needed, approximately 40 feet. And then what I'll end up doing is run the sod cutter through here. You guys see me do that over on 21 Ridge last winter as well. Remove that soil, bring the trencher in, get a nice deep trench and start piping stuff in. So my parts aren't in yet for the trench that I need to do to lay the pipe out, but something I can do while I wait for that is the sprinkler head is actually going to be paired with this one right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to basically dig this down to where the wiring's at, and I'm going to cut the wires, and then I'm going to remove the sod going towards the hole and dig a little trench, just a hand trench, to be able to lay the wire down. That way I can continue on with this project and still get something done while I'm waiting for parts. That way, when I do get those parts in and is able to lay the pipe, I already have the wires already laid out, ready to go. So I thought this afternoon would be a good opportunity to do that. Alright, got the trench dug. Had to hand dig around those wires. Like I said, I did end up grabbing the wire tracer, which was good because I would have cut right through those. So, hand dug around there, which took me 2 hours because I'm extremely out of shape. But now I'm cutting out the old pipe and get ready to install the new hardware. So the black hardware that you guys see right here, that's cast iron, and for it being such a short run to what's called a dead end, basically it's not tying, I'm not looping it with anything, I'm going to need some heavy duty fittings. Quiet, I'm trying to do a video. But this is what took forever to come in. I'll tell you what, I'll buy somebody a sleeve of whatever golf ball they want. If you can guess how much just this piece right here cost. I swear every time I buy one, it's more and more. But anyway, I got some cleanup to do. I gotta bevel both of these edges and then we'll grease them up, and I'll probably have Cameron help me slide this into place. But basically once this goes on, the rest is a piece of cake. So a little bit more elbow grease and we'll get it done. Okay, so I sat here for half hour, beveled each ends of these lines here, and what that does is it just helps put these knock-ons on easier. And this is just a tub of grease. That's why I'm wearing a glove, because it's grease. But we're going to grease these things up like there's no tomorrow. Now my next goal is to not get it on my pants or my shirt, which usually that happens. But let's see if I'm lucky today. We want to do the same thing. This end and this end. This stupid fitting weighs like 40 pounds compared to the PVC, which is what we normally use. But like I said,
for what we're doing, we need the heavy duty stuff. I can't see nothing. I forgot I did this in when I put this together. I tried to do as much in the shop because it's easier to do it on table than down in a hole. Come on. This is why it's easier with 2 people. This is going exactly how I didn't want it to. There we go. That went exactly how I wanted it to. Who parked this cart here? Dear Lord. Come on, big dog. This is somehow going somewhat well. It's actually pretty good. All right, I got a little ahead of myself. Anyway, got this in, got the pipe laid out, heading all the way down to the end of the hole. I measured perfectly. But anyway, back behind, right in here, I need to add some thrust blocks. Once I do that, I'm basically going to bury the pipe to where you can't see it, and then I'm going to lay this wire, shoot out that way, and then I'll probably finish up tomorrow by adding the sprinkler head. All right, so it's next morning, aka 2 seconds for you guys. Anyway, down here on the end, getting ready to plumb in the sprinkler. And I apologize, I'm hoping this microphone helps with the wind, but Mother Nature turned the wind up to a 10 today. It is blowing like crazy. Pretty cold too. Anyway, I'm going to cut off this bell end of this pipe and then start plumbing it together. Now I get the fun task of beveling that end. The piece that I'll be throwing on, let me grab it, is another iron fitting, with it being a gasketed or a knock-on. It's another one of the grease, or I'm going to grease it up and slide it on, so therefore I have to bevel that edge for that to work. And I will say this is one of my least favorites things to do with irrigation. I'm going to be quite honest, not a whole lot of irrigation that I actually like doing. Because I hate doing it so much, I'm hoping that's going to be okay. I should have done this before I put it down in the trench and put dirt on it. Oh well. I think I'll be able to make this work. And actually, before that, I'm going to start putting together the swing joint. And the swing joint is what the sprinkler ties into. And I actually forgot a pipe wrench, which I'm going to need to tighten this down, but anyway. So put some Teflon tape on here. A liberal, put a lot on here. Really seal it up. Last thing I want to do is for this thing to leak, just because I didn't go around enough times. Yeah, I'm gonna have to cut out for a minute, go get the pipe wrench to be able to put that on. All right, I got this on, screwed down so tight that I'm pretty sure it could contain Chernobyl. Okay, so back to what I was originally going to do. Grease this thing up so I can slide it on in there. Do the shortcut here on this. That'll work. Yesterday was such a nice day. Then it just turns around and turns into this crap. got that side done. I'll tell you what, that'll be my plug side. So this is a plug because this is going to be the end of the line. I'm not tying anything else to it. So that's going to go into there. Again, another heavy duty piece. That should prevent any water hammers and anything breaking free. That shouldn't break free. Oh yeah, like an ice cream sandwich. All right, I'm gonna have to move you guys. Here, holding on to my spud bar. Let's give this a shot. Well, why didn't you tell me to do that in the first place? That was all you had to do. Now we can start piecing together the swing joint. Again, I apologize for my mouth breathing right into the microphone. Oh, this is going to work out great. All right, I got it all in. Now I need to add a thrust block. Since this is the inline, like I said, they're called water hammers. When you turn the system on, no matter how easy you do it, it's still pushing a lot of water at a quick rate. And basically it's going to come and push or hammer this end off. So I'm going to stick a thrust block down in here. So when that does happen, it doesn't move. And a thrust block is literally, you go off virgin ground, which is right here, put the block in to when it does happen, it just doesn't move. So every end line, every tee, every bend of the line, there's what's called a thrust block, or what should be. Otherwise, you're going to have a big geyser. All right. So I didn't record it because you guys have seen it 1,000 times. But I went ahead and put thrust block in here. And I got my sprinkler I'm going to be adding in, which you guys actually have seen me do this a billion times too. But let's make it 1,000,000,001. So we'll go ahead and screw this guy on. Looks like I need to shave a little bit off there so it sets straight. And this daggone wind, man. Scotch high. Oh, there we go. That looks good. Okay. All that's left now is to wire it in. Make sure I leave myself some slack. Better to have too much. Wind is still something fierce. If you can even hear me through it, it's like 35-mile-an-hour winds. Constant. That doesn't help. But the sun isn't out either. Feels like it's like 30 degrees out here. Put on my wire nut. Then my grease pack. In case you guys are wondering, these blue little capsules, they're called grease packs. And they are literally little tubes that are filled. They're filled about that far with some grease in there, and basically what that does is it keeps water out of there to keep the connection dry. Because if this wire gets wet, it'll still work, but eventually it'll corrode and then disintegrate. So that's why you gotta be careful with some of these wires. You don't want to damage the jacket, because then water can get in there, eat away at the wire, and then over time things will stop working, which plenty of that happens around here. So that's why you gotta be careful on your digs. Now let's bundle this up. Okay. So what I'm going to do now is just fill this all in, pack it real nice and good, roll the sod back out, then I'll show you what this looks like all finished. All right, so I put what sod was survivable back in the spot, and it'll settle as time goes on. It's a little high, but like I said, it'll settle down. But here's where the sprinkler head is, and this should really help this area this summer. Might take a couple years, but should really help with this area and burning out when it gets really hot and everything. But anyway, that'll do it for today's video. Appreciate you sticking through the whole thing as I blab on. I kind of wanted to ask you guys, leave a comment below of, I'm trying to think of a channel name, something that you guys can easily find, something that's catchy, instead of Ironwood Greenskeeping stuff. I don't know, just doesn't roll off the tongue. But if you have any suggestions, throw it down in the comment box and maybe I'll pick it. But anyway, thanks for sticking around, guys. See you next time.